Hey guys, hey everybody, what's up? This is Lori Burris with the Catch a Pocket Podcast, and I'm coming to you live. Well, I'm not live. It's not live. It's recorded. I'm recording here in my home studio, and so here you are listening to the Catch a Pocket Podcast. I'm your host, Lori Burris, Wichita, born and bred, Wichita till I die. F you. I'm from Kansas, so here we are making a podcast. This is episode number 9. My good friend Sarah Osborn, Sarah O. Bennett from here in our fair city. She came in and we went and had some apps at Applebee's, and it was grand, and she sat down and we caught a pocket together. By the way, I failed to mention every time at the beginning of this podcast that you can get us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can email me at catchapocket@gmail.com. If you want to hear me on your smart speaker, you have to say the Catch a Pocket Podcast, because it's fancy like that, and you have to do fancy things in order to get this show on your smart speaker. So, without further ado, thanks for listening. My friend Sarah Osborn Bennett of Tanya Soup Kitchen. If you don't have a chance, you have never had a chance, get down there to Hydraulic and Douglas and get yourself a soup and a Sammy. See all the cool people. See what it's like to be cool. That's all there is to it. Here's Sarah Osborn. Well, thanks for coming, and I'm glad to have you on the Catch a Pocket Podcast, and here in our fair city, Wichita, which we're really in Park City, but only by 2 blocks, I believe.
We can hang out at the Wild West world if we get a hankering for it.
But it's haunted by now.
It could be kind of fun. Is it still there?
Yeah, there's remnants, I think, when I go on the highway.
Didn't they move like a bunch of it into some rich person's backyard? Like, yeah. I don't know. I'm making stuff up maybe, but
the guy
I think they did.
The little building across the way, Hartman
Arena? Yes.
Maybe he did it.
He might have, He also was a big part of starting Chester's Chop House.
Wink, if you're out there listening, babe, I'd love to have you on the podcast. I really, really would. I think that would draw a few people.
I think it would be very interesting to have him.
Yeah. So I'm here with my friend Sarah Osborn Bennett from the Tanya Soup Kitchen, owner, entrepreneur, but also the Osborn family with Truett and Osborn motorcycles, Harley Davidsons, and we love them, and what a great family. And we're going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and trials and tribulations, hopefully. And Sarah, how long have I known you?
I remember meeting you when subculture was kind of in its big prime.
Yeah.
I remember I gave you a ride home randomly one night.
Oh, well, good for me for not driving.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just remember somehow that was the first time I kind of had a conversation with you, or I had known who you were before. I think you know.
With Lisa, my sister, who was always part of the culture of Wichita and the heartbeat of, had her finger on the pulse, you know, and she would tell me things, and I would pick the things I liked and go with those things,
Of course, similar to my sister. So
you were part of those things I liked.
Absolutely.
And so I love motorcycles, and I love tight families. That's cool to me.
Yeah.
And interesting. And I like I like your spunk. I like your take charge, and also you care for so many people. And I just thank you for what you do for the community.
Thank you.
I think it's awesome. And so I don't know. Do you want to talk about where you were born and just kind of growing up in Wichita or wherever you grew up?
Sure. My name is Sarah Osborn Bennett. I hyphenated Bennett, but not legally. Okay. So I wanted to keep my Sarah O. You know, Jenny goes by Jenny O, and we make jokes about Mommy O and Daddy O and all of that kind of thing. So I like to use Bennett when I want to use it. You know, like when I'm at a wedding or something, I always sign it that way. I'm a little bit proud of it, but then I just never really legally got to it. Right. I kind of didn't want to. So it's just kind of up to my option. And I kind of think that's fun. So I grew up in Wichita. You know, my parents have been married for 52 years. So
did you grow up in South Wichita or was it?
I grew up in College Hill.
Okay.
So I grew up like between 2nd and 3rd Street, just a couple of blocks away from my elementary school, which is Hyde.
Oh, nice.
Right next to Robinson. Yeah. So, you know, we would walk home from lunch in grade school, and my mom would have like lunch.
Oh, how cool.
Because it just took like a couple of minutes.
Sure thing, yeah.
So, you know, it was
It was you and your sister and your brother?
Yep. I'm a middle child. So my sister is older than me, and I have a younger brother, and they're both amazing people. So
they really are.
My parents are awesome. I'm really blessed to have a really, really wonderful family. So
it is. It's a special thing, especially now when people break up. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's nice to have that tight-knit family. It makes you feel like a blanket.
Yeah. You know, the more you live and the older you get, the more special it becomes. And
yeah, I think so.
I've realized for a long time that I've been lucky to have that family that I do.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're glib when you're growing up and you don't really get it. And then just over the years, I feel like I'm almost the minority, you know, in a sense, but a lucky minority.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
have you ever thought about, because I have the same thing, so I have a similar family unit as you. And so have you ever thought about the day, like when my mom dies or my dad dies? And so we have this lucky thing that's happening to us right now that is so cool. But what happens when the other thing happens that has to inevitably happen? Do we handle it, or do we fall to pieces, or what do we do?
I don't know. I mean, I guess we're going to have to handle it, but it's going to be a real fall to pieces moment. And I just hate thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, your parents ever been like, we need to talk about the will or something?
Yeah, sure.
And everyone's like, okay, we'll do that later. We just run away.
No,
we're not going to talk about that. Like, I don't, you know, whatever you guys decide is fine. Whatever, right. You know.
But okay, so this isn't that kind of podcast, guys. So
yeah, I'm going to panic if we talk about that too much more.
No, let's stop right there. That's enough for me. Heavy stuff. So I'm not going to win a Peabody.
Right.
By
Okay.
This thing. So let's.
Well,
let's be real
you never
here.
know. You'd never know.
You never know.
So yeah, so I went to Hyde and it was wonderful, and I went to Robinson and I loved it, and then I went to East. I was in the age group where I only went to Robinson for 7th and 8th grade. Uh-huh. So they were switching over from middle schools or junior highs into middle school.
Yeah.
So I loved Robinson. I always felt I got a little gypped because I only got 2 years there. So,
right.
You know, they used to go 7th, 8th, and 9. Now they go 6th, 7th, and 8th. Right. And I was in the transition period. So I was one of the first freshmen to go to high school rather than junior high. And yeah, there was like 2 classes that just went through that whole kind of thing. So,
right.
I mean, it's not a big deal, but I remember getting to East and wanting to go back to Robinson.
Yeah,
it was
I can see that.
It was lovely there, I thought.
So you are from same class as me then, because I was the first to go to Jardine.
Okay, so did you graduate in 93?
I was the first to go to South from Jardine.
Because I graduated in 94.
I graduated in 92.
In 92.
But I wasn't there the whole time because I was the first class of freshmen to come over, and they didn't change how many credits you needed to pass high school. So I was able to get all my credits in 3 years, which it took everyone else as well.
Yeah.
And then so I just took like a a civics class in the summertime.
And you graduated early.
So I just had to like roll in for a picture.
Uh-huh.
Because they wouldn't let me graduate early because they were like, oh, let's rethink the whole credit system.
Absolutely. That was the same with me. I graduated a half semester early. So I didn't take the whole senior year off.
English 2 times.
Yeah, you had to take like government and English.
I took government in the summer, so there you go. Just 2 credits of English.
And you're out the door.
Yeah.
With extra credits. Which is insane.
Oh, yeah, like 11 English credits alone.
I'm like, how many classes are they going to let people flunk to still graduate? If I can graduate half a semester early with
crazy.
more credits than I need,
they didn't really think
that's a lot of leeway there, in my opinion. But, it is what it is.
I took advantage of it and got the hell out of there because I didn't really prefer it. Gotta tell you.
I kind of liked school. I liked high school, but I did graduate a semester early. And, I was ready to go.
Right.
But I don't know. I didn't mind it while I was there, I suppose.
Yeah. You cherished the moments and had good friends and stuff like that.
I had like a kind of double life going on a little bit. Like I was part of many different groups, I guess you could say.
Because you had a sister that was older and in another group.
Right. I was a PomPom girl, so I had all like my PomPom friends that I'd had since growing up, since grade school. Right. They were all a big part of that, and they were kind of in charge of it. And then I had my other stoner friends, I guess, and I had that whole group of people that I hung out with, and
right on.
I just had a lot of different groups of people, but I was pretty close with all of them. Okay. Like I liked being on PomPom because it like maintained my relationship with those people that I'd known since grade school.
Like the student government people.
Yeah, like all the super like chicks that were just like in charge of everything and like college hill chicks, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, and I love those people.
Yeah, me too.
But at my core, like I was also seeking other kinds of people to hang out with as well.
A little darker,
a little different, seedier. Like a little just definitely seedier. But, so I didn't mind it, but I was ready to leave and just got out of that. And then I kind of, when I was in high school, all I wanted to do was just get out of Wichita. Did you
do art while you were in school at all?
No, I've never been like a
PomPom. Yeah, and that was really busy. My sister was in that, and she was having to go all the time.
Well, I know it was like early morning.
Constant thing.
But like I said, it was like a way to maintain my friendships and
right. Who's going to be the prom?
The captain of the PomPom would be like, Sarah, can you not smoke in your uniform, please?
You really smell. You're really
not supposed to do that. They were always just kind of like, Sarah, can you take your own car because you're just going to want to leave after the game's over? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll just
so
I'll be there.
Like the outcast of the incast,
kind of.
Okay,
yeah.
So, and then did you go to college?
When I got out of high school early, I went took a couple classes at WSU right away.
Yeah. And
it was fine or whatever.
You took regular classes?
I took like an art history class and I think an anthropology class. And
oh, I loved anthropology.
My class was gigantic, so I liked the textbooks, but
I liked the room. It was like an amphitheater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have that big...
Did you have the lady?
No, I had Dennis somebody, and he had like a big old beard. He was like a big old burly dude.
She was rocking. She inspired me for what I'm doing right now.
She did. Does she have short blonde hair, kind of like an older lady?
An older lady.
I know who you're talking about.
And Headley? No.
I don't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either. And I'm sorry that I can't because she was a good lady.
No.
She inspired me.
Inspired you how?
Because she taught me that it's okay to study people. And not just for something they can do for you, but to learn from them.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing by this podcast is sitting with people.
Yeah.
We're sitting here looking eye to eye together and we're speaking to one another, but we also have to listen to ourselves, which is weird.
Right.
And we also have to know, we have to articulate our
ideas and thoughts. I guess it is very anthropological.
Yeah.
It
is, I think. And it's Wichita and it's cultural.
Yeah, definitely.
In that way, because we have an accent. We can't hear it, but when I hear it from other people, they're like, you draw your R's.
Do you say grandma?
No, I don't. I
do.
but I also don't say auntie. Like some people say auntie. And
Yeah,
I
I don't say
auntie.
that. I say
aunt.
I
Rita.
just say aunt.
Yeah, that's aunt.
Do you do auntie? I don't think I have ever put a T on
I do
there.
now, but I
do now.
I think auntie sounds better. But
I think
can't-
auntie
I
sounds
don't
like
really say it.
snobbish.
It does
Like,
kinda.
oh, auntie.
Oh,
My auntie.
Bring me a glass of tea.
My auntie Jack's,
My
you know.
auntie needs some tea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
But all those kind of things are interesting too. Like we call Mason's mom Omi, which is grandma in German.
German. Yeah.
I've met some other people that have like Omis in their life, and I'm kind of like, no, I have the Omi. Like to me, like I'm not. She's the one and only Omi.
Right.
So I kind of feel like
There
protect.
is no
Like I'm
other
like,
one.
oh, you can't use that.
Yeah, just
But-
because that's German. No,
I mean,
we're not in Germany.
obviously everyone uses it. A lot of people
Yeah,
do, but
they
I
do.
think it's a fun way to, refer to her,
Omi.
Omi.
Okay.
But I never did that so much growing up. Like, have a nickname for like Mimi and my grandparents.
No,
Like, did you?
I had Granny and Grandma,
Yeah,
and
that's
both my grandfathers were dead, and that's how I distinguished them. Was Granny was my white grandma. On the English side, she told me one time I interviewed her, and she told me they were from Wales, England, and they had slaves. She wanted me to know that.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she sure did.
She was like, I'm British
No, she said,
or Welsh. She's Welsh.
Welsh.
She's Welsh, and she
we
had
were
some
from
slaves.
Wales originally, and the first people had slaves. And I was like,
How old were you?
And I was 19 when she told me that. And I was interviewing her for an anthropology course at WSU.
Oh
Boom.
my goodness!
Boom.
Did you include that in the paper?
It's in there, and I think I still have that paper.
Yeah,
I just don't know exactly where.
I have all that stuff too.
Yeah, too bad for me.
Why do we keep that stuff?
Memories, the memories in our hearts.
Yeah, but if you go back and really try to read it, you don't really want to. You're just bored by it.
And you don't really ever do that, do you?
I don't know.
You
My
go,
mom
I'm
is
gonna
like,
refer to that later, and you actually refer to it later.
she gave me a box of letters that I wrote to this really close friend I had that moved away when we were like 12, 13. And she moved to Florida, and we actually corresponded through letters. And
Cool.
recently my mom gave me all these letters that I had from her.
Well, she kept
And
them.
they were like up in the attic.
You're right.
My parents are moving, kind of, if they ever, it's a big project, let's just say that. So I started to read them, and I could care less, like what her and I cared about when, I was like, this is really boring. Like, I was like, oh, this will be fun to read back. And I was
You
like,
just got a couple boring ones in the front.
no, they were all boring. I mean, how interesting is your life at 13? And then, so I'm starting to think like keeping every single one of these things that I have like that.
Yeah, I think you should.
Like
I'm a practicing minimalist, and I still have.
papers from WSU.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Because it was my granny.
Well, that's cool. No, that actually makes sense.
And it's
That
a
makes
full
actually
interview,
sense.
and then I interviewed her later,
Uh-huh.
and it was 3 weeks before she died. I interviewed her again, and she told me a whole story about how she worked at Stearman Airfield Company,
Oh.
and she made the Swallow aircraft. Or she worked at Swallow Aircraft,
Yeah.
and she was like Rosie the Riveter, and made the aircraft while the people who were at war. Her
Dude,
husband.
That's when they built like Plainview and all of that, right?
That's where they built. And we're from that people.
Yeah.
We're the white.
That's how you guys, your family came to Wichita?
They're farmers. I really don't know. This isn't my interview, baby.
I know. So let me ask you one thing, because that Stearman Field is where they have that restaurant, right? Or
They have one out there.
yeah.
Stearman Field.
Is
But
that the
I was
one in-
thinking something else. But no, she was Swallow.
Huh.
But yeah. In, what's that place called?
But
Stearman.
Benton.
Benton.
It just sold, actually.
Oh, it did?
A little bit of restaurant gossip for you.
Ooh. Ba-boom.
Anyway.
And that's another thing about you is you own a restaurant. And that's really cool to own a restaurant and be a local. And this is one restaurant, so sole proprietorship of one restaurant, right?
No, because it's a partnership with Kelly.
Oh, it's a partnership. Okay, yeah, that's right. Kelly Kelly's in on it, and she's the half owner chef, and you're the half owner management side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have definitely different jobs that just complement each other, so it works out good.
And it's such a cool thing, and the atmosphere is family oriented. Again, we come back to family because there's no other place that I feel more at home than when I go to work at your place, because it's the camaraderie is outstanding.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the pleasure. Lori came to work for us. She was like, I call them my guest stars. We have a few people that work at Tanya's that come one day a week. I have one right now that his name is Sam Olson, and he works elsewhere. And he comes once a week. He comes every Thursday, and it's like, it's so fun to have that. And Lori used to come on Friday nights, and she would come in, and it's just good for morale. It's good for the person that gets to come once a week, and it's good for the staff that's there all week too, because it's just, I love that. I have a few employees over the years through that, and plus it gave me an opportunity to get to know you better. So I think that was really cool about that. And I've said that before, is like, because we were like acquaintance friends before, but now we developed a friendship over the course of you working there. So that was awesome.
It was. That was so nice of you.
You know, when you live this Tanya's, you know, and you get, I don't know, it's weird because you're always experiencing it. And so it's hard to reflect on it outside of it.
Right.
A little bit, you know.
Yeah, because you're right there in it. You are the like heartbeat or the lungs or a vital organ.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And, you know, I love it there. I mean, I love it. I love what we do. I love everything that we have. And we're super lucky. And,
yeah,
you know, Kelly, like, it's a partnership that is, you know, it's just amazing the way we can work together.
Right.
And not everybody understands it, but most people do. I mean, it's not like there's any I don't know. It's just we're just like, we have different skill sets. She shares my skill set more than I share hers.
Okay.
Because she has like a just, you know, awesome ability to cook and make everything taste good, and she just is able to like put the right seasonings and the right touches on it, and it's just so good. And I don't have
you do
that.
The same thing with the floor.
Yeah, and I mean, she could come up and do my job easier than I could do hers, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But
I totally get that, because she has a different,
like
we're talking about
like
art
chefing
here.
is like a little different than, but I also have like a better ability to do what I'm doing than she does. Like, she couldn't do it as well as me, but it's just, I don't know. I think about that. It's weird. Like,
it's the give and the take of the business. Makes it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I agree. She does something to the back of the kitchen that you do to the front.
Yeah. I mean,
like the yin and the yang.
It's awesome. You know, like, we just complement each other and our skills, and the stuff that, you know, she doesn't want to do, this the stuff that I don't mind. You know, like, I'm not saying she doesn't want to talk to people, but I love that. Like, and I like, you know, knowing our guests and like just interacting with people. I've done that my whole life as far as waitressing, working in the restaurant. And I don't dislike that. So that's fortunate for me.
Right.
Because it is socially exhausting in a lot of ways. You know?
Yeah. You have to take a break from being social sometimes.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a lot of energy that you're giving to a lot of different people.
Right.
But I like it, you know. It doesn't, you know, doesn't bother me. And
so, in your life, so you went from high school,
so then I went to WSU first semester, and then I moved to Oregon. Like, I was just like, I'm getting out of Wichita. It was like this big goal of mine, right? I was like, Wichita, I got to get out, you know, like.
Yeah, sure. A lot of people do that. And it's good that you do that, because then you don't question that later.
Yes, it was really good that I did that. So,
yes.
You know, I had dated this guy, Damon. He had just moved from the West Coast. His family had moved here because of Boeing. His older brother had come first.
Okay.
Met a lot of our friends and kind of got integrated into that group of people. That's Rob Fry, right? And then his little brother came, and Rob was like, I'm going to, you know, make you date my brother. And he was just like.
Right. And he was really lovable.
I mean, Rob was a teddy bear of life. I mean, and he was so fun, and he was just, you know.
And he's passed away, guys, so sorry to break it to you.
I'm sorry to break it to you. So anyway, like, we were dating and having a great time, and I'm like, I'm getting out of Wichita. I'm going to Eugene, Oregon. I don't even still know to this day why I thought that was a good place to go. But I did, and he came with me.
That West Coast.
I mean, I wanted to go, like, just away, and
right.
I don't know. I mean, I chose Eugene, and it worked out just fine for a little while,
right.
And David came with me. His parents actually eventually moved back, like,
to work
to the West Coast. Everyone, all of their family actually had come back to the West Coast by the time it was all said and done. And
right on.
so he's still out there and in Portland now.
Right,
and
he comes to Winfield.
Yeah, he comes down for Winfield, which I took him to for the first time, and he just fell in love with it.
It's cool. It's a
I mean,
cool
he's
deal.
never.
If you've never been to the Walnut Valley,
he was a convert from the moment we arrived. I was like, we're going to this thing. He was like, okay. And then he was like, I'm never missing one.
It's heaven on earth, you know, if you let it be. It really is.
If you let it be, that's so true. And I love it there. So anyway, we moved to Eugene. We hung out for a while. We were, just doing the West Coast Eugene thing. I was fortunate enough to get a job in a little restaurant called Napoli, which a couple of girls from Wichita, it was Italian, Southern Italian. Okay. Kirsten and Abby Schrog.
Oh, cool.
Like, I don't know. They were from Wichita. They worked at this restaurant.
You're kidding.
No, I know. I mean, it's like you probably know them because everyone does. Like,
huh?
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, actually, but I don't know.
I mean, so they got me in my job there, and I worked at the same little restaurant the whole time I worked in Eugene. This is actually kind of a good story for the podcast factor.
We're taping the podcast
okay,
right now,
so let me tell you guys
perfect.
about this restaurant. It's called Napoli, and it was in Eugene, Oregon. It was across the street from the hospital, Sacred Heart Hospital, right down the street from the college, University of Oregon.
Awesome.
And my boss, Paula Moriarty, she opened this restaurant with, let's see, it's well, I gotta think 1 second.
Okay, while you're thinking of that, I'm going to say Sherlock. Boom.
So her business partner, they opened it together, and my boss was the back of the house and her business partner was the front of the house. And they had like a kind of symbiotic thing going on. I don't really know because I wasn't there when her business partner was there. So one day her business partner comes to my boss, Paula, and says, I have to tell you something. My real name is Catherine Ann Powers. I was involved in a bank robbery in Boston.
What?
No one ever got caught. 2 cops were killed.
This is happening.
And I'm going to turn myself in.
What?
My boss had no idea.
Uh-huh.
She turned herself in. She's in prison probably still. I mean, it's
true?
huge. Like Donahue did a story on it.
Oh, Donahue.
Yeah. So anyway, everyone knows who this is. Like if you're into crime and getaways and
I'm into getaways.
This big Boston bank robbery that went awry and these police officers.
And the girl was working with you.
And the girl was, I didn't ever meet her, but she was partners with my boss at this restaurant that I worked at. And she used to call from prison.
The Napoli.
And they would be like, this call will be monitored, blah, 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 blah.
What?
And then, yeah, I mean, this all happened before I started working there.
But you came in after that.
I came after.
All they talked about.
I mean, it was still
it was huge.
It was national, big deal.
It was humongous.
And it was a big deal. So anyway, I had no idea. But I felt sorry for my boss because all of a sudden, her partner, it's like if Kelly came to me and was like, by the way, I robbed a bank and I've been on the run for 20 years. And, seriously, this happened to my boss. And so
I'm getting ready to be captured by the
yeah,
FBI.
she's like, I'm turning myself in because I want to
I just wanted you to know ahead of time.
So anyway, that's my big Eugene, Oregon crazy restaurant story.
So that was Napoli.
But other than that, it was just a lovely little Italian restaurant where we served great food and it was pretty quiet. And we had this tiramisu that's like the bread pudding at Tanya's.
Uh-huh.
It came in that big
pan
too.
Did you call the sauce gravy?
I mean, No, we did not.
Because
we
you're
did
not East Coast, you're
We're-
West Coast.
Yeah, well, we're
bitch-ass.
Southern Italian. So anyway,
that's
so
cool
then anyway,
story.
okay,
Very
so then
cool story.
I mean, I had to interject it because I
That
get
was-
excited when I talk about
No,
it,
that's a good one.
and when people know who she is, they get really excited too.
Really?
Like Mason's boss, Bobby, got really excited, and he was like,
I
he knew
know
all
this
about it
story.
because he's from
It's
the
like
East
when you talk
Coast,
to
and
the BTK.
yeah,
When you talk about the BTK.
yeah, people
And
can.
I live in Park City.
right,
And we talk about the BTK.
All the
It's like,
time.
oh, bristles. My bristles are up because we're talking about the BTK.
My friend called me that
He
day
was right
that
down the road.
he got caught. My friend from Oregon, who's
Mm-hmm.
like living in New York, she's like, "Man, you guys are making some news over there." And I was like, she's like,
Yeah, bad news,
"Guess
man.
we are."
Yeah.
So
Dennis Schrader. Anyway,
Homegrown.
moving on.
So in moving on. So there's Eugene. We get bored and whatever.
Right, burnt out.
So I met a couple friends that I like ended up living with in Eugene, and my last part's there after David and I
You
split up. We
while
split.
You were there, and you continued to live there.
We both continued to live there for a little
With
while.
roommates elsewhere.
I found these two great roommates.
Chicks or dudes?
Two chicks. Their names were Gabrielle and Jen, and they were from the East Coast. And I'm still in touch with both of them. I'm still friends with Gabrielle. She's probably the one friend I made out there that wasn't from Kansas
Yeah,
that I still have.
yeah.
Because, I mean, that's how few and far your friends in life will be, like your true friends. Because
Right.
I met a ton of people when I lived in Oregon,
because
but I'm
it's
in
all
touch
about
with one.
Right. It's all about exerting your energy.
Yeah.
And if you're not exerting your energy into someone, it's because you don't feel like they're worthy of that, right? I mean,
Absolutely. And it's also hard to make friends when you're in a new place and like,
right.
like lifelong friends.
sure.
I made one. I have a lot of people that are still in Oregon, but they're all like connected to Kansas in some
Right,
way.
right.
So I have a bunch of people out
Yeah,
there,
and
but
there's
they're
a lot of
all
people that are my friends, and I think they're wonderful and everything. But if day after day they failed, I would not go rescue anymore. Like I'm just not the big enabler. Maybe
yeah.
I don't have that loving heart.
Well, that's not a sense of having a loving heart, but it's also just a sense of like
Self-preservation, I think, is what I think it is.
a little bit. And I think it's just drawing a boundary. Like
Right.
you have your own concerns and family.
You got to be healthy.
You got to be
In your
working,
heart and
you're working
spirit.
on
Oh my.
your own marriage and your own son. You know what I
Right,
mean? You
right,
can't be
sure.
rescuing like everybody that's
Tom,
flailing
Dick, and
because
yeah,
I mean it's a lot going on.
yeah. Sometimes,
like
that's
like
true.
what do you do?
Yeah. You do have to kind of say, "Here we go. I'm here, and I'll be here
Yeah,
for you." But I'm not gonna.
I mean, absolutely.
All right. So
Okay, so that happens, and then we decide we're gonna move to Portland because it's way better than Eugene.
And how far is Portland from Eugene? Do you know?
Yeah, like I don't know, 90 minutes,
Not far.
90 minutes on I-5, maybe 60 miles.
Yeah. Okay. So,
It's like just directly north of it a little bit.
but
It's
the
almost to
scene is
Washington.
fresh.
It's a city. There's like,
And there's
you
more
know,
shit going on.
yeah, there's just more edge to it. There's less like, hippies everywhere. And just the culture in Eugene didn't really suit me. I didn't
Right.
really care for it.
Yeah,
and
there's
I just
only
got
so
real
much
frustrated
patchouli,
by the
right?
time I left. I was just like, wanted to pull my hair out about it. It's just
Something was getting under your skin there.
way under my skin
Right.
there,
I feel you.
And so I was out. Then I lived in Portland for a while. I really thought that was a great city too.
Cool.
I mean, it was cool. And
Yeah.
it was, a long time ago now. So, I mean, it was before Portlandia and how much
Right,
bigger it
right,
is
right.
now, but it was already big then. But it's a beautiful city and it's progressive and it's cool. And, I loved it there. And it's like the one beautiful thing about living in that I-5 corridor is you go to the mountains in an hour to the right. And,
Right, you're right there.
depending if you're which direction you're facing, and the beach on your left.
Right.
It's like so
It's a
pretty.
cold- it's a cold beach, but it's a beautiful beach.
It's a beautiful beach.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any
And-
beach. When you live in Kansas, when you live in Wichita or the surrounding areas,
Yeah.
any beach is a beautiful beach.
Yeah, a cold
When you
beach
get
is so different too
Get
than
misty
a,
on my
you
face
know.
beach. That's what I say.
So I liked that. I liked
Yeah.
being able to do that, and I got to experience a lot of, unique nature moments. Probably the most in my life I'll ever have is when I lived there.
Yeah. There's a lot of nature.
Yeah, there's a lot, like if you're not seeing it, then you're doing something wrong.
Right.
So anyway, so then I get myself into kind of a kerfuffle and I decide I'm moving home. I'm like, I'm moving home. I'm out of here. Situation is getting weird. I'm out.
Cool.
So I'm like, I'm ready to go back to Wichita. So I came back.
Yeah.
And then I've been here ever since.
You see your mom and dad. You get to see whoever, your brother.
I was still really young then when I moved back.
Oh, okay.
So, when I left here, I think I was maybe almost 20, 19. Yeah. And I came back
are
like.
You glad you're here?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And it's nice to just be a stone's throw away from mom and dad.
Oh, yeah. I never had the I got to get out of Wichita bug again.
No, I don't.
So I just knocked it out of the park when I was, fresh out of high school, and now I'm like,
all out of your system.
I love this place,
it's the reason why people go in the military.
I love Wichita,
I do too, but I didn't get the chance to see it away.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking about that is maybe after. I'm gonna stay until probably the day I die.
Right.
So Kansas till I die, bitches.
Right. You're here,
but. Let's say I had no reason, like my mom and dad had been passed away or something like that.
Right.
Then.
You were single?
Well, no. Phil can come.
You just take them all. You're taking them with you, you mean? Yeah. Okay.
Well, and Fletcher's to college soon.
Okay.
Like in 4 years.
I know,
right? And
right?
I hope mom and dad aren't dead. Like, I'm hoping sometime that ranges out.
Right. Okay. And, so you think about maybe you might leave for a minute?
Like, maybe do that whole travel the country in an RV thing.
Oh, yeah. My parents did that.
Yeah. And just like go be the person that takes care of the national park camping area for
100%.
Like a few months. And then, like, what's that guy doing?
Like, once you get Fletcher into college, like you and Phil could do something like that, maybe?
Who knows where he wants to go to college? He might want to go to college in France, for all I know.
Right.
And if he wants to go to college in France, by God, why not?
Yeah, why not? He's got a lot of options. We'll just have to see what happens.
Parlez-vous français? I might learn how to do some biscuits of some kind. They're light, fluffy, like a croissant.
Oh, you're going to become a French bakery chef?
I heard it's all about the butter.
It's a lot of butter and cream.
Cold butter. Cold butter makes flaky biscuits. That's all I know.
Okay. Well, that's more than me.
Okay. Anyway, so okay.
Okay, I like that idea. Yeah, who knows? Maybe you can have an opportunity at that point.
But do you have that same kind of thing, like in your back of your mind? Okay, you're a restaurateur. I'm not gonna. I've been through all these experiences, and now it's time to.
I'm just gonna travel. Like, I'm not gonna move again. I'm sure of it.
Not to own a property, but to just travel.
I'll just travel for a little while.
Well,
but not for an extended amount of time.
Right, just to the places that are most.
I've been really fortunate to be able to travel to a lot of places around the world. And,
right.
And I like that a lot. But I don't know that.
Where have you gone that has been the most inspirational to you?
Well, the most culture shocking. I went to Egypt with my dad when I was 18. It was just him and I.
Just you and your dad.
Yeah. It was right after I graduated a semester early.
In Africa.
And somehow, I still don't know how this happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. It just came about. Like, there was this flyer for the safari, I remember.
Right.
And then I turned it over. My dad was kind of looking at that, and I turned it over, and there was this other side was Egypt, and I just kind of was like, we should do this. And then
he said, okay.
All of a sudden, it was him and I, and we went to Egypt.
Just
us two, and I'll cherish it for the rest of my life,
What a cool thing.
It was absolutely amazing. It was culture shocking.
Oh, yeah.
I never left the country, so I went
to different in Egypt?
Everything was it was culture shock.
Right.
Like, to the
totally
you just
different
it's
than our culture.
So different. I later went to Europe, and I remember being disappointed when I saw like a Woolworths.
Right.
Everything was the same.
You're right.
Like,
you don't
everything
go to a
felt like
part of the world and see the same thing.
Yeah, and so when you're in like a third world country or like a place like Egypt, where it's not all the same, it's really it was my first experience out of the country.
You think about that?
I just thought it was. I don't even know how you
Put it
I
in
mean,
words,
I thought it was crazy, but yeah, I mean, nobody can really experience it until you have your own, and then it's just like hard to. So especially that, like being your first experience out of the country, and I was still really young. It was awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah. So you and your dad went. What kind of things did you do?
So we just did like the tourist thing. Like I'm not
Like, go see the pyramids.
Yeah, we saw it all. So we like flew into Cairo, and then we took a little plane, like a tiny little plane, down to Osborn.
Uh-huh.
And then we got on a boat and like went up through on the Nile, and you stop at all this, all the stops, and like everything's on the Nile and already, because that's where the water is.
Right.
So you just kind of pull over and see the temple or do wherever you go, like the most amazing things you'll ever see.
Wow.
And then
That's awesome.
we got to a certain point, and then we took a train like from that point back up into Cairo.
Okay.
Which was really fun.
Yeah.
Like this train ride in Egypt. And I remember my dad came and got me, and he was like, you have to come see this. And we went into like the dining car, and all these French people were just getting wasted.
I love it when people from other countries get wasted.
It was awesome. And my dad and I were just watching them. And, it was fun. And they were just having the time of their lives. Too. Oh, yeah.
They try to serve you.
There was like this guy, Balky, that reminded me of Balky from Perfect Strangers. And you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
I know exactly.
So he was like carrying drinks around his head. And like my dad, I mean, it was just. So anyway, that train ride was really cool. But I do remember my dad like coming to my car, like where I was sitting. He was like, you have to come see this, And
they
were
made
just
you come out to see this.
Yeah, he was like, let's go check this out. This is awesome. And so
cool.
we watched them, and then so that was crazy. I mean, amazing experience. And then my family, we took a few family vacations together. We got to go to China.
Wow.
And we did go on a Kenyan Safari. Oh yeah, we did it all.
And is there some parts of the Great Wall that suck?
It's not a wall. First of all, like
it's a walking path.
It is a mountain.
Really?
There's no wall about it. It's a mountain. It is a mountain to climb. Like I always, for some reason, pictured it, and maybe it's because you see those pictures from space, where it looks like a walkway.
Yeah.
I thought you just kind of walked along the top of the Great Wall of China. I don't know what I thought, honestly, but when I got there, it is steep, and you climb up and up and up these stairs that are all different levels. So like one's really short, and the next one's really tall, and then so my sister and I are like climbing. We're like, like getting up there, and every once in a while they have kind of this lookout post, or like, I mean, this is where they took us to the tourist spot where you like get on the wall or whatever. Right. And my brother would just be waiting for Jenny and I, like he's just like tapping his foot, like, come on, girls. And we're like, like climbing up with every ounce of our being, trying to get up this thing. And then he's like goes ahead, and then he's waiting on us again. And the whole thing was just hilarious. And like CJ's just like, oh, these girls. Yeah. I mean, something like that where you're just like, I'm going to die, but I have to do this, you know. Yeah. We came down on our butts. Like we just like put, like when you're a kid and you go down the stairs, that's what we did, the Great Wall of China. And once again, CJ's like just smoking cigarettes waiting on us, My parents gave up after the first like few steps. My mom was like, oh heck no, like I'm not even gonna hang.
Go up there and take a picture.
I mean, she's like, there's no way I'll be in the bus. She's realistic. Like it was hard. So it was.
So your mom's the realist of the group.
I mean, she's just practical and just like, I'm not even going to act like I can do this.
Awesome.
I mean, it's like, what am I going to do? Try to act like I do it, and then what? Because I can't.
So you got China, and then you said...
So we went on a Kenyan safari.
Kenya and Africa. Did you feel like you were in the mother country?
No.
What?
I mean...
Shut your face.
I mean, I didn't. Like, I don't know what to say. Like,
I'm just joking.
I mean, I've never been just a white girl from College Hill. Like,
but you didn't have to watch. You guys didn't kill a lion, did you?
Oh no.
Okay, thank you.
Of course not.
no,
you think we're out there with spears or something? We're just riding around in like a kind of like semi nicer golf cart. The roads are so crazy that they tell you basically to bring a sports bra because the roads are so bad that your boobs are just flopping, boom, 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 the whole time we were in that bus.
And it hurts after a while.
It hurts after a while. This is interesting. In Africa, they don't have there's just people out there fixing the roads.
Yeah.
That are just like dudes with shovels. And then the drivers for the tourists that are driving them around, they tip them.
Because
and that's how they
they're
make their
fixing
money. Like they're not getting paid from the government or anything like that.
But it is in a way. It's like a taxation on the
it's
people
all
that
part
are
of the
travelers.
tourist industry. So it's like we're
they
in
should
the
just
bus as
pay
the
them.
tourists. The guys that are driving the bus are tipping these guys that are filling up these crazy potholes. And the
With
roads
no
are so
tools
crazy.
that they made
Sometimes
out
they
of
just drove on
bones
the
of
side of the road
elephants.
instead of on the road. So it was easier for them to just drive along the, like, what you might think is a curb or something like a... I mean, it's crazy. The roads are nuts there.
Okay, so we're in Africa?
So we went to Kenya.
Yeah. Which is like the capital? Is that the capital?
Nairobi. Yeah.
Nairobi.
And so, Nairobi is the capital of Kenya.
Okay, so you went there.
We went there, and it was great. It was awesome. We did that. The roads were crazy. I mean, it was an experience. We had a wonderful tour guide. His name was Sammy. We loved him. I mean, we went to Turkey.
The whole fam.
Yeah, Mason got to come on that one because he put a ring on it. And then the next trip was Turkey, and Mason got to come because he was married in now. So that was
Shout
great.
outs to Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, so that was fun having him there. That was an amazing trip. I mean, we've just been really fortunate. So we did like a series of these trips for a while, and we talk of doing another one, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, so...
All right, so that's it. I mean, and then here I am, and I've worked in restaurants my whole life. I went back to WSU once I settled down here for a little bit. I graduated. Just it was like a personal goal. Like I kind of always knew I was going to work in restaurants anyway.
So you
but
graduated with a management degree?
No, I graduated with a major in English literature and a minor in Spanish.
Cool. That's cool.
I mean, I was just going because I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
no, English literature. I got to say, you are actually learning something because you're learning about different pronouns and stuff like that.
I mean, I learned a lot, like, definitely. I mean, it's a lot of just reading of, stuff. And then, like, I would love to learn more about linguistics. And, I got to take a couple of linguistics classes, and I was fascinated. And they kind of challenged me, which was cool, too, because sometimes, it was one of the more challenging, but, like, things I was interested in during my whole college career.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I wrote a lot of papers. Let's just say I can write a paper with the best of them.
So to wrap it up, do you have anything you want to say to people?
Well, I guess I don't know if it's going to benefit, but I definitely am like, I feel like I count my lucky stars every day for everything that I have. And never for a minute would I ever even think of being like so happy and just grateful for what, is going on for myself right now.
Right.
So I'm just in a good place. I feel good. And it's, I went through a few years where it was just not so great.
Well, it was hard. You know, losing Tanya was hard.
A lot of things happened. I lost a couple,
Yeah.
my friend Jake, and so
Jake and Tanya.
just when you're like in the thick of it and people are like, oh, give it some time, and how that kind of makes you mad. You're just like, that ain't gonna work.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah, like time isn't gonna help, but time has helped.
Yeah,
and things have kind of like moved on, and so, but I just I can't, like I said, it's hard to look inside of the soup kitchen when I'm living it like every day.
Right.
But it is such an amazing thing, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
And
me too. I'm grateful that you guys stepped up and did this because it means so much.
I'm grateful for
so
every single person that comes to our doors, and like I'm grateful for, I mean, I've worked in restaurants my whole life, and it's tough, and like we just have so many customers, and we're so blessed. Like we're so lucky, and we're going to keep working hard.
Unless that was delicious food.
Well, that's true. I mean, but there's a lot of factors, and it just is.
Lots of factors.
I don't know. So I don't know.
Like the service that you get and the feeling that you get. Like I said, it's my family, and it's like no other thing. I've never worked at a job where you feel like you're home.
Yeah.
Quite like that.
I think that Kelly and I both like. the experiences that we've had growing up in this industry, you know, which we never had any terrible, bad, horrible things ever, you know, in our past jobs or anything. But the experiences have given us what we know that we want our place to be like.
Right.
And it just, you know, it is what it is, and it's what we want. And so it's neat. And it's just, like I said, it's hard to reflect on it when you're in it. So when I think about it, it's like, it's kind of bizarre, but I am so happy about it.
Right.
You know,
Well,
like
I think what I'm going to say for Wichita is thank you for what you do, and keep putting your heart into it, and it shows, and we love it, and we just all eat it up because it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What you're doing, what you've done, and what you're, you know, what we hope you will become.
Yeah.
In the future.
Well, thank you. I mean, the whole team is everything about it. Yeah. You know, like it's just, there's so many people that are part of it.
Yeah.
You know, beyond me. And I mean, just for the people that work for us, they're always like, they're so loyal. Like they want to do a really good job. Yeah. And I see that all the time. Like they would truly not want anyone not to have a good time there, or they would care if someone didn't.
Right.
You know,
take it personally.
Yeah, like they have all this pride in it as well, which is great, and so I love that.
Yeah,
you know, like they're just like, oh, you know, like everyone's just doing their best, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sarah, for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you for, you know, just taking the time to come down. And I feel like we really caught a pocket tonight.
I think so. We can catch a pocket.
Thank you.
All right. Good
bye-bye.
Night.
Thank you for listening to the Catch a Pocket podcast. I'm your host, Lori Burris. Special thanks goes out to Phil and Fletcher for helping me with technical aspects, as well as having to listen to this before you do. Tell me if I make a mistake once in a while. Jeff and Zach Tuttle provide me some photos I'm using on Facebook and Instagram, the Podbean app, and sometimes Twitter. Kirk Runstrom for the music, and Lisa for allowing me to use it on the show and around the show and all over the show. I'd like to also thank anyone who supports this podcast by taking the time to give it a listen. I hope y'all catch a pocket you can be proud of. See you next time.